Hello, we're deconstructing the Arturia CS-80V module by module, and today we're doing the Sub-Oscillator. This is the Sub-Oscillator down here, and everything in this bank here affects the entire keyboard, so we're outside of the control of each individual oscillator now. We've joined the two oscillators together and we're dealing with it as a whole sound source. So this Sub-Oscillator, LFO, basically, same thing. When we mess around with the speed, we don't have any effect on the tone at all. We've just got a really simple triangle wave going on here using just oscillator 1, as simple as you like. And the speed of the master LFO doesn't do anything until we bring one of the three sliders in that are attached to it. So the three things that we can oscillate are the pitch, VCO, the tone, VCF, and volume through the amplifier. So we'll do pitch first. So we're hearing a ramp. Why are we hearing, a saw? Why are we hearing a saw? Because that's our current function. Saw down. Change this to saw up. Get saw up. Sine. Pretty straightforward. This is going to be on off or high low, and this is the sample and hold feature equivalent kind of thing that we talked about when we were dealing with oscillator 1. Takes a snapshot, plays that pitch for a while, then takes a new random snapshot, plays that pitch for a while. Let's go back to the sine because it's the one that we most commonly use when we're dealing with LFOs, but not always. So that's a sine wave modulating the pitch at 1.12 Hertz. Take that away. Now then, in order for us to hear any effect on the VCF, we need the VCF plugged in. So if we don't have any filters currently set, this slider doesn't do anything. If we turn one of the filters on, or both, now it will do something. So at the top, the slider is having no effect, and as we bring it in, you can now hear the sine wave oscillating at 1.12 Hertz, having an effect on the low pass filter. So if we just, okay, that's as if we were doing this kind of business. So it's the low pass filter's frequency offset that's being modulated by the oscillator. Now don't forget, both high and low pass filters are kind of tied together in any individual VCF, so it's not possible to decouple them and modulate them separately. If we turn the low pass filter off and the high pass filter on, now when we bring the sub-oscillator, the LFO, back in, we're modulating the high pass filter. And obviously you could probably set them both such that they would kind of cancel each other out, but they are operating together. And VCA is the easiest, possibly, well, they're all pretty easy to identify, but this is just a volume change. And you can see it in the master output meter. So if we had a very subtle effect, generated an overall tremolo. Very often LFOs in use such as these are used with very minimal effect, just to colour the tone, and then it's really pleasant. If you have lots of this, it's more of a sound effect and not so musical under normal circumstances. Okay, that's the sub-oscillator in its own right, and that's all fine. We've also got, unhelpfully grouped all the way over here, another set of 3 controls that are also tied to the sub-oscillator, and these are Aftertouch Effects. So you need Aftertouch on your keyboard to hear this, or you're programming in via automation or MIDI or whatever. But they basically sum these 2 controls together. So if I bring the pitch sine wave back in, slow it down a bit. Now if I change the corresponding VCO slider over here, if I just press a normal key, we get this effect. I'm going to press Aftertouch now. Let go of the Aftertouch. There's the regular key. Aftertouch back down. There's the extra modulation that's being applied by the Aftertouch. Similarly, we can have 2 effects on speed. So that's normal key press down. So now it's going to get faster and the depth is going to increase. Okay. Turn the VCO off and bring the VCF in instead. So firstly, and now if we dial in some additional Aftertouch modulation, so both the speed and the frequency filter being affected by the Aftertouch. So you can see these 3 sliders grouped together under the Sub-Osc After label under here all have kind of corresponding sliders over in this section, but in a kind of weird quirk, and we'll deal with it now just because we're talking about touch response. This slider here has absolutely nothing to do with Aftertouch whatsoever, and it doesn't have anything to do with the sub-oscillator either. So it's a real kind of weird control to be grouped together. It is a touch response control though. I can see why they've put it here, but it is a bit weird. This little fella is almost not noticeable. It's really, really subtle. If I turn the LFO off and just press a normal key on the keyboard. Now if I bring this slider in, you're going to get a tiny little bit of pitch modulation on each note. So that one kind of, joined the party for free because it was all part of the touch response. But essentially that's the sub-oscillator covered with the weird little odd man out down here. In the next video we'll deal with the remainder of the global oscillator based features, including ring modulator and keyboard control, which is basically key follow. I hope to see you then. Thanks very much for watching.